we've got another dead ash tree to deal with. I want to get this tree here cut down. It's dropping a lot of branches and stuff in the yard. And if you look up, we've got a widowmaker right there. And this thing is as dead can be. Last year, this tree had a little bit of life left in it. A couple of the branches on the right here, on the right side of this tree, were still alive, and I'm pretty sure the rest of them are going to be dead this year. So what we want to do here, unfortunately, we have a sign there to work around, and we also have a cottage or cabin. So this tree is, I don't know, 25 or 30 feet away from the cabin here, and it's got more weight. There is more weight on this right side, the side that I want to put it. I want to try to get this tree on the left side of this puddle, or pretty much right in the middle of it. And today we're going to be using the 62cc professional Timberpro with my sight that I've put on it. I've got a chain I've been using for a little bit while, so it might be a little bit dull. Now, I suspect that we're going to run into some metal in this tree. This used to be fenced off in here. There was a big maple tree down in here and another maple tree right in there. And when we dug out the stump for both of these, we found two concrete posts, I guess, and just the bottom of it that was in the ground. There was no top to it. So I suspect there is an old metal fence in there, down in there along the side of those trees there. So I just want to, mainly all I care about today is just getting this tree on the ground. And I'll give you guys another look here. It does have a bow to it. So it's got a dog leg, I guess is what they call it. But you can see this tree's pretty much dead. And another reason why I want to take this tree down is this big branch right here. This big one right here. It is leaning right over the cottage, the corner of that building. So I want to get this tree down before this big limb comes down on the corner of the cottage here. So there you go. There's the tree. It's a big one. I'm gonna estimate, what do you think, 2 feet? You think it's 2 feet? Getting there? I think it'll be 22. I think I measured this thing one time. But I'm gonna try to cut a little bit above the flare, and I'll make another cut. We'll have a piece of firewood at the bottom, and then we will have the regular tree up top. But these are some massive logs. This is a big old tree. So wish me luck, and we will hope for the best. In the next tree, I don't know, 20 some feet, 15, 20 feet, actually, yeah, probably 20, 25 feet. There's this big metal thing. So there is stuff in these trees. So hopefully I won't hit any metal. I figured we would do a cold start on the Timberpro here. So we'll switch her to on, prime the primer bulb 6 times, pull out the choke, and push in the decompression valve. And since I'm not wearing my chaps, I might put this thing on the ground. And this is a cold start. This saw is not warm whatsoever. So I'm going to guess 4 pulls, maybe 5. Ah, 5. Oh, that was a pretty good guess. So we're going to let this all warm up, and then we'll start cutting down this tree.
Now I'm just making I guess this would be the face notch, face cut, and I'm trying to cut the wedge out on the bottom side of this tree. There's 3 saw logs in this tree, and they're all pretty large. They're a decent size. So I don't want to have that big notch in the top of the log right here, or I guess it'd be the bottom of it, but I want it to be in the piece of firewood that is in the bottom down here. Generally, whenever I cut trees, you always at least get a piece of firewood out of the bottom of the tree, and then you get the logs and firewood up at the top. So what I'm doing here is I'm using the sight that I put on the saw. I just took a big framing square, eyeballed the down the bar, and then I just put a line right across the saw, and this actually worked quite well. I was really surprised how well this worked. I don't see why it wouldn't, but it worked a lot better than I was expecting. So now I also want to say, do not try this at home. Don't do this at all. These is cutting down a tree near a structure is pretty dangerous and really not something that you want to do. You always want to make sure you are far away from any buildings or people or vehicles or whatever the case may be, that you're far enough away from it that, if the tree did go the wrong way or whatever, that it's not going to hit the building or something. So this tree is definitely tall enough to hit this building and maybe even reach to the other side of it. Now, I will say I did not do the greatest job notching this tree, and even watching this video, this still kind of bothers me a bit. I don't do this kind of work every day, just kind of do it on the weekends. But it's this is something that I enjoy doing a lot, and I don't mind doing it. I think it's kind of fun, and it's funny. I'll go back, on my videos on YouTube, and I'll actually rediscover some of my videos that I've made, which is kind of funny. And I'm cutting down trees or something a lot younger, which is, I think it's neat. So 5 or 10 years from now, whenever I'm looking at this video, I'll be thinking back, what I could have done different and what I should have done better and whatnot to cut this tree down. It would have also helped if I had a bigger bar on my saw. This bar that I have now is only a 20-inch. A 24 would have been nice, but a 28 would have been even better. So we have let's see, my brother, he was filming with his phone, and this is my phone that we're filming with here, so we actually have a second clip that I'll probably put in some of these videos, maybe even in this one, I don't really know. Now I am using some steel wedges, and you have to have a big tree to use the steel wedges, because if you hit them with your saw, obviously you can do a lot of damage to the bar and the chain. So you really want to use the plastic wedges whenever possible. I did have plastic, but I have much thicker steel wedges. So you see me, I'm really looking up at what the canopy in the top of the tree is doing. I'm making sure that it's wanting to go the correct way. And being that I pounded in that wedge there, I pretty much put it about as deep as I possibly could. And pretty much with every hit of the maul there, you could watch the top of the tree go over just a little bit, maybe 6, 8, 10 inches or something. And I need to make some cuts on these wedges to remove some of the steel that is mushroomed over. And pretty soon here, the tree is going to leave the stump, and you guys will see what happens.
was doing one of these.
What?
I was doing one of these.
Boy, do you feel the ground shake?
I did. You probably felt it more over there.
Do you see what I did to my saw?
You bent it.
No, look at the bar in the ground.
Oh, jeez. The tree did that.
Well, we got the tree down safely, and the Timberpro survived the, I guess, the fall with the tree. The tree took the saw with it and flipped it around and stuck it in the ground, I don't know, a couple inches into the dirt over here. And it actually still is somewhat sharp. I was kind of surprised. It doesn't look like I hit any stones or anything, so that's good. I did not do a real good job on the wedge cut. I don't know what I was thinking there, but you know, guys, I don't ever recommend anyone doing anything like this. This is on our own property, and this is actually a rental house over here, so we just wanted to get this tree down. And the reason why we didn't want the tree to go that way over here, we didn't want to send it close to the building, and we also didn't want to have this mess out into the yard. This spot in here, this was all overgrown this would be last spring, I guess, and this is pretty much all field and a wet spot, so we can't really even get in here to mow it. So I figured this would be the perfect spot to put this tree at. We missed the sign and missed the house, and nobody's hurt or anything, so I am very, very pleased about this. So I guess we'll show you the tree. Oh, and the tree it's 50 years old, roughly 50 years old, and it's about 70, give or take, I don't know, maybe 5 feet-ish, 70 feet tall, plus the stump. So about 70 feet tall and 50 years old. So I think that's pretty cool. And this is I think it's an ash. I know it's an ash, but it might be a green ash or a white ash. I'm not entirely sure, so pretty sweet. I did use the steel wedges, and I'll tell you, those steel wedges work pretty good. The maul, this is a pretty heavy maul, and I really don't need to swing it that hard to pound the wedges in. And there is a big hole here where the trunk hit. So I've got a big mess to clean up now, and I think I will use the Chinese chainsaw to do the rest of this. Generally speaking, I like to use the big saws to cut the trees down, and the smaller saws that are more nimble and more maneuverable to just cut the limbs and stuff off of. 45 cc's for the rest of this tree will do just fine.